Welcome to Bills Nation Daily, your ultimate daily dose of everything Buffalo Bills. Hit that subscribe button and join the most passionate Bills fans as we break down all the latest news, highlights, and game analysis. Go Bills! The NFL world woke up today in complete shock after one of the biggest bombshells of recent years dropped with the force of an earthquake. Aaron Donald, the legendary defensive tackle, the man who terrorized offensive lines for more than a decade, is no longer retired, no longer tied to his past chapter in Los Angeles, and has signed a deal with the Buffalo Bills. This is not just a transaction. It is an announcement of war, a message to the entire AFC that Buffalo is no longer content with being close to glory. They want to smash the door open and hoist that Lombardi trophy. Donald himself, in a fiery introduction that already feels destined to become viral material, promised what he called a hunt for quarterbacks, a chilling declaration that made fans of rival teams shiver while Bills Mafia exploded in celebration. The idea of Aaron Donald lining up in that menacing defensive front alongside stars who are already wreaking havoc instantly changes the identity of this franchise. He is not just a player. He is a force of nature who drags attention, doubles teams, and nightmares into every snap. And now he is wearing the blue and red of Buffalo. For months, whispers about Donald's future floated through NFL circles like smoke no one could catch. There were hints he was content in retirement, enjoying the life of a man who had already accomplished everything, from Defensive Player of the Year honors to a Super Bowl ring. But competitive fire is an unpredictable beast, and once it awakens, there is little anyone can do to tame it. What seemed impossible became a carefully constructed possibility as Buffalo's front office reportedly kept quiet meetings and phone calls alive, dangling not just money, but also the tantalizing chance of cementing a dynasty in upstate New York. When the Bills fell short in recent postseasons, critics pointed to the lack of that one unstoppable force who could collapse a pocket at will. Now, with Donald on board, the excuse book is closed. Opposing quarterbacks who once scanned Buffalo's defense with relative comfort must now imagine Donald's violent hand-fighting techniques and unstoppable first step flashing through gaps. The Bills, long defined by heartbreak and almosts, now carry the aura of inevitability. The reaction from Bills Mafia has been nothing short of hysteria. Fans flooded social media with images of Donald in a digitally altered Bills jersey even before the official team photo dropped. Tailgate culture in Buffalo, already legendary, has shifted into an entirely new gear, with fans promising that every game at Highmark Stadium will be a carnival of intimidation. The move has also sparked intense debates across sports shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels, with analysts split between calling this a masterstroke of timing or a dangerous gamble on a player who had already walked away from the game. Yet, those who have studied Donald's career know one undeniable truth. He never plays at less than a Hall of Fame level. Even if his snap count is managed, even if he is not the every-down terror he was in his physical prime, his presence alone tilts the field. Offenses will have to account for him. Coordinators will lose sleep game planning around him, and linemen will once again feel the suffocating pressure of having to hold their ground against a legend who has nothing left to prove but still wants to dominate. Inside the locker room, the impact is already being felt, according to whispers leaking out from team insiders. Veteran leaders are reportedly buzzing with adrenaline, while younger defensive linemen are treating the chance to play beside Donald as a once-in-a-lifetime apprenticeship. Head coach Sean McDermott, always measured in his words, could not hide a grin during his press conference, dodging questions about specific roles while admitting that Donald's presence would raise the standard for everyone. For a team that has sometimes struggled to find that final edge of toughness, Donald represents more than sacks or pressures. He embodies accountability, preparation, and an obsession with perfection that few athletes ever achieve. Imagine a practice session where rookies have to match his intensity, or a film study where he points out angles others miss. That is the invisible value the Bills just added, a cultural shift that could ripple through every layer of the organization. In a league where margins are razor-thin, this kind of injection of championship DNA might be the missing ingredient to finally push Buffalo over the top. Opposing teams are already recalibrating their expectations for games against the Bills. The Kansas City Chiefs, Cincinnati Bengals, and Miami Dolphins, all of whom have enjoyed relative success attacking Buffalo's defense in recent years, now face a radically different equation. Offensive coordinators will need to build entire weeks of practice around containing Donald, a task that history has proven nearly impossible. Double teams and chip blocks may slow him temporarily, but they open lanes for others to feast. Add in the unpredictable Western New York weather, and you suddenly have quarterbacks staring down a nightmare scenario. Frigid winds, hostile fans, and Aaron Donald breathing down their necks. Some league insiders are already whispering that this move alone may shift the balance of power in the AFC. What once felt like a conference dominated by young quarterbacks could now be rewritten as a battlefield dictated by a defensive juggernaut. The irony of it all? The Bills, once mocked for failing to stop opposing legends, might now have the most legendary stopper of them all. Still, questions remain, and that is what makes this story so tantalizing. Can Donald truly sustain the energy and physical dominance after stepping away from the grind of an NFL season? Will the Bills risk leaning too heavily on his aura instead of continuing to build depth? Some skeptics believe this might be more of a psychological move than a practical one, designed to scare opponents rather than deliver week-to-week results. But even those skeptics admit that fear alone can be a devastating weapon in the NFL. Just the thought of Donald in that locker room, just the vision of him crashing through offensive lines, may tilt the chessboard in Buffalo's favor. What happens when he records his first sack in a Bills uniform? Or when he flexes those iconic muscles after tossing aside a double team? The stadium will erupt, the city will shake, and opponents will feel the weight of destiny pressing against them. Buffalo has thrown down the gauntlet, and now the rest of the league must answer the most dangerous question of all. How do you stop Aaron Donald when he decides he's not finished yet? The ripple effects of Aaron Donald joining the Buffalo Bills are already spreading far beyond the field, reaching into boardrooms, marketing campaigns, and even rival fan bases who cannot believe what they are seeing. Merchandise sales reportedly spiked within hours of the announcement, with Donald's jersey becoming one of the fastest-selling defensive player jerseys in recent memory. Bills Mafia has always prided itself on loyalty and spectacle, but now there is an added layer of star power that attracts attention from casual fans across the country. Networks are rumored to be scrambling to flex more Bills games into primetime slots, knowing that the combination of Josh Allen launching deep passes and Aaron Donald wrecking quarterbacks is the kind of storyline that drives national ratings. This signing is not just about football. It is about showmanship, about narrative, and about turning Buffalo into the epicenter of the NFL conversation. For a franchise that once struggled to escape the shadow of its 4 straight Super Bowl losses, this feels like the rewriting of an identity. Donald has walked into town and immediately given the Bills something priceless, swagger backed by proven, undeniable dominance. Behind the scenes, whispers suggest that this deal was months in the making, a carefully orchestrated pursuit that required patience, timing, and a little bit of luck. Reports indicate that Buffalo's front office reached out to Donald quietly as early as last offseason, planting seeds without pushing too hard. When Donald initially leaned toward retirement, the Bills maintained a respectful distance, but never let the communication go cold. Then came the frustration of another playoff exit, another heartbreak that weighed heavily on the roster and management. That pain became motivation, fueling a bold pitch that promised Donald a chance, not just to play, but to be the missing link in a championship puzzle. Sources close to the team claimed that the pitch was as much emotional as financial, focusing on legacy, on the opportunity to define Buffalo's story for generations. For a man who has already earned wealth and accolades, the idea of becoming the final piece of a city's long-awaited triumph proved irresistible. The stars aligned, and now the league must deal with the aftermath. Inside rival locker rooms, the mood is far less celebratory. Some players are reportedly fuming, calling the move unfair, a stacking of the deck that could create chaos in the AFC. Quarterbacks who once circled games against Buffalo as shootouts now privately express dread at the thought of being chased by Donald in the cold winds of Orchard Park. Offensive linemen are already studying tape, trying to figure out how to handle his bull rush and finesse moves, though history suggests those attempts rarely succeed. Coaches are bracing for game plans that may have to abandon long-developing plays entirely, switching to quick throws and screen passes just to survive. There's a growing sense that this signing might change not just Buffalo's defense, but the entire rhythm of games played against them. Teams that once feared the Bills' offense must now prepare for a defensive avalanche that can suffocate momentum before it starts. Donald's arrival is not just a player acquisition. It feels like the rewriting of the AFC's script, forcing every contender to rethink their identity in the shadow of Buffalo's new juggernaut. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The Bills themselves are leaning into the theater of it all, with whispers that their social media team is preparing a campaign built around Donald's promise of hunting quarterbacks. Imagine hype videos with snarling wolves, slow-motion clips of collapsing pockets, and Josh Allen narrating about brotherhood and dominance. The organization has always embraced the passion of its fans, but now they have the chance to frame themselves as the villains of the league, a role they never truly played before. Buffalo was often seen as the lovable underdog, the team that tried hard but fell just short. That narrative is gone. With Aaron Donald, they are no longer scrappy. They are scary. They are no longer the hunters chasing Kansas City or Cincinnati. They're the predators waiting in the shadows. If executed correctly, this transformation in branding could mirror what the Raiders once represented in the 1970s or what the Seahawks' Legion of Boom symbolized a decade ago: fear, respect, and inevitability. It is a cultural shift that could define not just this season, but the way the NFL views Buffalo for years to come. Still, caution lingers in some corners of the conversation. Legends returning after stepping away often face challenges: rust, injuries, or the toll of time that even the greatest cannot fully escape. Donald may not be the same relentless force who won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and there are murmurs that the Bills must prepare for a scenario where he plays a more situational role. But even in that scenario, the psychological weight of his presence cannot be overstated. Offensive lines cannot gamble on ignoring him, and quarterbacks cannot relax knowing he is on the field. In a sport where mental pressure often dictates physical mistakes, Donald's mere shadow can cause interceptions, rush throws, and collapse blocking schemes. If he manages to return even close to his former level, then Buffalo's defense may vault from strong to legendary overnight. That duality between hope and risk is what makes this move such compelling theater. The NFL thrives on drama, and there is no bigger storyline right now than whether Aaron Donald can still be the unstoppable wall he once was. What cannot be denied is the sense of destiny now swirling around Buffalo. The city, long starved for ultimate football glory, suddenly feels like the center of the NFL universe. Bars and diners buzz with talk of Donald's debut. Children dream of wearing his number, and longtime fans whisper that maybe, just maybe, this is finally the year the heartbreak ends. In Donald's words, the promise of a hunt for quarterbacks is more than bravado. It is a rallying cry, a statement of intent that aligns perfectly with the hunger of Bills Mafia. Whether he delivers a dozen sacks or simply redefines the energy of the defense, the impact will be undeniable. Every game will now carry the weight of anticipation. Every snap an opportunity for history. In Buffalo, where winters are brutal and hope has often been fragile, Aaron Donald has ignited something rare: belief fused with fear. The rest of the league can scoff, doubt, or criticize, but deep down they know what the Bills know. When Aaron Donald declares a hunt, quarterbacks better start running. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.